welcome back. This is video 5 of, I believe it's a 12 part. It's 11 or 12. Is it 12? It's 12. Okay. Sorry. It's been so long since I really looked at my notes for these video series things, so I don't even remember what my stuff is. Anywho, hi, it's me, it's Raquel. So, bonus, that recliner chair right there, this one, that's the one I was talking about in my 4th video. But, anywho, hi, it's Raquel. It's currently September 20th, 2021, and I have returned to finish this series so that I can get something done, even though it's not June anymore, so it's technically not Scoliosis Awareness Month anymore. However, scoliosis awareness should always be done, no matter what time of year it is. So, we're gonna finish this series. We got this. We can do it. We're gonna do it. Awesome. Okay, so hi, I'm Raquel. I am who am I? I'm a blogger on WordPress with the same username as here. It's on there, as well as on Instagram too. And I talk about recovery from various mental health conditions and some recovery about physical health conditions. And this series is all about my experiences with scoliosis, my surgeries, my spinal fusion surgeries, and coming to terms from a self-hatred journey to self-love and body acceptance and body positivity. Because as of this year, I decided that I'm finally ready and capable and willing to wear crop tops that show off more of my body than I, thought of before. So I was very ashamed of my body and things like that. So being able to get to a point where I love myself, and whether that's scars or no scars, obviously scars, but then that's the progression of things. So this is video number 5, and the whole series is called Shaped by the Curve. And this I've talked in the previous videos, not so much in the last video, but definitely in the previous videos I've talked about pieces of information and experiences that will be talked fully about in this video. So, with that said, it got worse. Basically, that's all scoliosis, yep, that got worse. So right after my first spinal fusion surgery for my spondylolisthesis, which was a birth defect that I didn't really know about too much. I didn't really know too much about it. I think my parents actually thought it was like a scoliosis surgery before we really, figured it out. But around the time probably that I got my next x-rays, we started to notice, I had an orthopedic surgeon up in Boston Children's Hospital, but he started to notice that things were starting to get a little awry, and essentially that meant that my spine was migrating and my scoliosis was getting worse. So my scoliosis really happened in lumbar, bottom of thoracic, and you will know more about that if you watch my informational sort of videos. I think video 2 that was in. So, yeah, unfortunately, I got the shit stick in life, and it was the case that, maybe it was the spondylolisthesis was sort of, when it was existing itself, it was maybe holding back the scoliosis or something, but either way, once we fixed that thing, the other thing got worse, and I started to deal with it by not dealing with it. Behavioral component there, avoidance, which I still struggle with today. Avoidance, because I was also, and I've mentioned this before, I was very all or nothing, black and white kind of thinking. So what was happening was, when the scoliosis started to get worse, it was sort of like, okay, well, you need to wear a brace now. And for me, the brace I had to wear, I believe, 16 hours a day, and I got the Boston brace. Sorry, that's my friend Gretchen. Yes, the Boston brace. That was the type of brace that I was gonna wear. Or I was supposed to wear. I never actually wore it, so whole other issue, which we might get into now. But the brace, it was sort of like, it's probably why I don't like corsets, probably because it reminds me too much of braces, so it's too much, but it had a dolphin on the front of it, and my curve was going towards the right, so I leaned more towards my right, and the thick of the brace, essentially the brace is meant to keep it from getting worse. It's a very preventative measure. I have never liked preventative measures for some reason. I always hated them and didn't abide by them, which is how I wound up in these situations to begin with. But the brace was sort of, thick and like sturdy in one part to kind of force the spine to be in a neutral position, if not, help it not move in the free-flowing direction it wanted to go in. So it was very uncomfortable, and I think I had seen something online where somebody got made fun of and called, their peers made fun of them and called it, they were like a turtle in a sense, and they got, so I was afraid of getting bullied for it, so I didn't wear it, but I also just wasn't going to wear it anyway, which again, like if I had been open to other treatment options, that would have been different, but I wasn't. I was just like, I'm going to pretend that I'm wearing my brace and pretend everything's fine when everything is not. And unfortunately for me, I was very good at making it seem like I didn't give a shit, but I gave a lot of shit. I gave a lot of shit about it. I cared about a lot about it, and I was very, just very secretive, and I was not very open. I definitely internalized. I definitely have done that in the past. I internalize a lot, and I kind of still do in some ways. And so I felt really, ashamed. I felt really like I couldn't wear certain outfits or couldn't do certain activities like swimming or going to the beach or wearing an open back, prom dress kind of thing. And so I felt really like I was different and no one understood, and I wasn't able to talk about it because I was so upset by it that I would just be, anytime I was thinking about it to myself, I should be wearing my brace, or I have this horrible condition that I didn't have any choice in having and have no control over. I genuinely don't have control over it because my spine is migrating more than I wanted to. I was genuinely afraid of my growth spurts because I knew another inch that I grew was another, centimeter or something off of my spine. So I hated taking showers. I hated to have to feel the difference in my body, wondering, did my shoulder, was it always hunched over that way, or did my ribs stick out as much like this the last time I took a shower? It was really, really not fun. And I also didn't want to get hugs from people because I would even tell when my mom was hugging me. She would kind of be trying to see where is your back and where's your spine, and I didn't like that, so I was not intimate whatsoever with anybody. Even my boyfriend at the time, I was no, that's definitely not going to happen. And, I wore kind of baggy clothes. I wore sweatpants and things like that. I tried to cover up and try to, not really think about it. And again, for me, when I was talking about it in my mind, thinking about it in my head, I was crying, and I was just very unable to talk about it and vocalize any of what I was going through. So it kind of came out more online, I would say, which I talk about in my next video. Because online I was able to kind of reach out to people who were, Mocha's right there. Mocha's right there. She's doing some stretches. You're doing some stretches. Stretching. Sorry. Intermission. So yeah, I was just very private about it, but in the way that I felt just ashamed of it. I was really it was bad that I didn't have any control in the situation. I was mad I couldn't really do much for it or about it, and I had all these self-fulfilling prophecies. I was always today I'm gonna wear my brace. I'm gonna wear it because I could wear it. The longest I ever wore it was probably 8 hours of the 16, and so I was okay, I'll just wear it today, and then I would start wearing it, and I'd be good for a few days, and then I would lose motivation, or I'd just, my brain would just be we're gonna stop anyway, so what the hell is the point? So then it would stop, and then it would just be repeated doses, repeated instances of that. So I had self-fulfilling prophecies where I wasn't gonna wear it, and then I was well, I might as well just give up, because fuck it. So I was that, which wasn't helpful. Again, all or nothing. Again, avoidance. Same things I deal with now. So that was kind of happening, and then I would say obviously my orthopedic surgeon knew something was up, because obviously I was getting worse over time, and I was like this. I was stuck within this rut in a cycle for 3 years. I genuinely lost 3/4 of my high school experience to something nerve-wracking as scoliosis, and I, again, didn't talk about it. I didn't, have support in a sense. Like, no one really knew what to do. Like, my parents, I think at the time, I think my mom said in retrospect, she might have tried to, maybe she thought maybe I needed a therapist or something, but I never really got that. And I don't think I would have been that open to it either. But that was that. So my identity really revolved around scoliosis. I definitely identified myself as scoliosis, and like I was so captured in this thing, so trapped in a sense. And it really sucked. It really, really sucked. And I definitely had a lot of self-blame. I was always like, I let this happen to myself, and I let myself fall into these cognitive traps where I was, relentless and ruthless and a prisoner of my own mind. And I think at the time I still felt like I deserved to be alone. And I think at some point between after the first surgery and when I had to start wearing my brace, I realized I could move forward and have friends and have like social events and just happiness and things like that. And I felt innately that I didn't deserve that, so I should isolate myself into this horrible condition and not get help and not be happy, and I should be alone and like that kind of thing. So that was kind of my thought process too. And like I just felt I'm almost done. So avoidance. So the avoidance was for me trying to pretend like it wasn't happening. Like, I don't have scoliosis. Like, my spine isn't migrating. I'm not rotating in a different direction. Like, everything's fine. Nothing's wrong. Like, everything's okay. We're gonna be okay. It's fine. It's whatever. It was just kind of like that. That was my avoidance. And again, I came off like I really didn't give a shit, but I definitely really did. And I just didn't know how to get from all these emotions to this better spot in my journey and everything. And definitely people told me, like, I remember my mom telling me, like, you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret that you're not wearing your brace, and you're gonna have to live with, these consequences of your actions. And I definitely feel that more now than I did back then, because I was always like, well, whatever, like, I'll have to deal with that later. And at the time, I was like 15, 16, 17. So, I was stupid. And so it was, part of it, I suppose, too, was also self-forgiveness, having to forgive myself for the actions that I created and caused when I was 14, and just letting that go so that I could, when I was 17 and I had my second surgery, I could actually wear the support brace, even though it wasn't the same thing. It was just something, so I could put everything into that and, really try to make up for what I lacked before. And so that was a huge thing. I definitely, I think it was 2009, the New Year's for 2009, going into 2009, where I made, my New Year's resolution was to not give up on things I hadn't already given up on. And at that point, I had given up on myself. And that's why I don't like those quotes, never give up, don't ever give up, because it's like, okay, but I already gave up, so now what do I do? So I always still, don't like those quotes, because it's like, it doesn't sort of catch the scenario of, what happens if you have given up, and how you move forward with that sort of instance and with that situation. So it's limiting. It's a limiting quote. It was actually because I found online that apparently I found a forum or a website or something where people were talking about how you could wear your brace, but it's not a cure. It's not a fix it, and it's actually going to be the case. I don't know if this is true, but it's gonna be the case that when I go through menopause, it could start shifting and stuff again. So I was very much like, I found that out and I was like, well, fuck this, because I'm definitely not doing this now. Like, I don't even want to wear a brace. Like, why bother? You know, why bother with wearing a brace if it's just not going to fix me and it's just not going to do anything? Like, doesn't make any sense. And again, it would have been different if I was open to other treatment options, but at the time I wasn't. So it was just a very, like, it was my teenage rebellion in a sense. It was sort of like, all these people want me to do this thing and I don't want to do this thing, so fuck it, I'm just not going to do it. And like, that was my way of sort of acting out in a way. I didn't know that at the time, and you know, it makes more sense now. Like, that was, you know, like as a teenager, you know, you get into drugs or you party or whatever. And mine was, I'm just not gonna do my treatment for my physical health condition. It definitely impacted my mental health, but I never had like depression or anything. I never actually had like a mental health condition with it. It was just a lot of self-hatred and self-loathing and self-blame and wondering, why was I given this to deal with? And I think also part of it was like, I didn't get to choose having this disorder, and opting into no treatment was something in my control. That was something I could choose. Like, not doing treatment was something I had power over. And so I kind of clung to that as well, because it was just something I could do, because, you know, I didn't have control. So let me look over my notes real quick. Yeah, I wanted a straight spine, and if I was going to get it, I didn't want to have anything. And I still never even got it, to be honest. It was a mission that could never be achieved. And even now, like, I still don't have like a straight spine. I still have a little bit of curve and stuff, and I still... Who's my doggo? I still have like a little bit of a curve. And, oh, she's chewing on her chicken leg. She's chewing on her chicken leg. Sorry. What was I saying? Because I never would have got a straight spine, and it was actually a concept I did in my photography in 2012. I got this apple and I painted it gold. It didn't come out as well as I wanted it to, and I got like a rotten apple. And it was sort of like how the golden apple was representative of cures and total fix-its. Cures and total fix-its, and like, you know, the epitome of a golden apple was like the one thing that you really wanted, but wasn't always achievable or realistic. And so the rotten apple, oh, she's had hiccups. The rotten apple was sort of like what you get given instead. Like, you're reaching and reaching for this golden apple, this cure, this fix-it, this whatever, and, you know, the straight spine, but instead life gives you this rotten apple. And it's essentially, it was a concept that I was essentially trying, maybe I'll reshoot it sometime, but it was essentially like how we don't have a choice in what apples we're getting in life, but how we decide to look at them and how we try to recover from them and overcome them, that is within our control, and that's within our ability to change the outcome in a sense, you know, because, you know, even with life, like when with mental health conditions, you didn't choose to have the condition, and you choose how you live with it. You choose how you react to it. You choose how you recover from it, in a sense. And I think I've always been a believer, probably not from this instance, but from my mental health instances, where choice is so powerful, and it's so important to have that empowerment and that choice and that like realization that you have that choice. Like, the power that comes with that is so important and can really be life-changing. And I think it's definitely something like worth exploring. So maybe I actually have an apple like figurine thing now, so maybe I'll try to reshoot it with that apple, or I can get another apple with a golden apple thing. So, but yeah, that was like a concept that I liked, the whole golden apple. Like, you're reaching for this perfection that doesn't exist, and, you know, even though you're given this rotten apple, like, you have to, you know, choose how you handle it and how you overcome it and that adversity, how you sort of face it and challenge it, and you can find out that, hey, it's still an apple, and even if it's rotten and it's fucked up, it's yours, and you only get one, and try to make the most of it, kind of thing. So that's my blah 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 about apples. Yeah, this, by the way, this time period was from about 2008 to 2011. Honestly, I think that's probably about it. Essentially, what do we learn? We learned about apples. Life gives you apples, and sometimes they're pretty shitty, and even though you really want that golden apple, sometimes that's not what you get. And you know, this is the worst part of my journey, I would say, this like 3-year period where I was, you know, constantly obsessing about it, about my ill actions and my not being there for myself in a sense that maybe I needed and wanted and all that, which we'll get into. I'm gonna write a letter to my younger self, so maybe we'll touch on that in the future video. If I don't put it in this video, I'll put it in the art self-expression one, because that's video number 7, and it has it'll just be art stuff. So I was wearing gloves and I had a golden apple, and I was like holding it out to the camera, like, do you want this golden apple? And it's like, I want the golden apple. But perfection doesn't exist, so this was more about how I framed it and reacted to it, and, you know, didn't do right by myself from it, and the power of choice, and, you know, having control in some things, like reactions to things, and like how you overcome adversity and things like that. And yeah, I mean, I still have, I think I still have some like misconceptions or perceived notions when it comes to scoliosis. Like, I don't know, sometimes I just get frustrated when I hear other people who have scoliosis, or, you know, maybe they're not taking it as seriously or whatever, and I get like, but I don't know, and maybe that's just me. An unfortunate time and a part of my life that I just, you know, didn't do my best, and having to forgive myself for that later was everything. So, because I was essentially just beating myself up for a decision I made at 14. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and thanks for being here. And if you have ever struggled with scoliosis, let me know in the comments, because we should I don't know, I was gonna say we should have a party, but I don't know. Like, celebrate ourselves and like how we've overcome something really hard. So maybe we'll phrase it like that. But anywho, I'm gonna go, and this was video 5 of 12. So we're almost halfway through, to be honest. The next video will be just about my social withdrawal and how I found support online, and a little bit of my identity stuff. So that's how we're gonna do it. So yeah. As always, stay safe, take care, be well, much love and light to you, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.
I can see a lighthouse through the smoke. Everything is lost, I know.